Welcome to Creepy, the best horror storyteller on YouTube.
Part 1. The Call of the Unknown.
In the realm of academia, where knowledge reigned supreme, there existed a man of insatiable curiosity and an unyielding thirst for the unknown. His name was Albert Nyareth, an occult scholar of unparalleled repute, whose mind was as vast as the cosmos he sought to understand. Albert's fascination with the ancient civilizations of the world was unparalleled. He believed that these civilizations, long vanished from the annals of history, held secrets that could unlock the mysteries of the universe. His studies led him to delve into forgotten texts and decipher cryptic symbols, seeking clues that would guide him to the lost knowledge of these enigmatic cultures. One day, while poring over an ancient manuscript, Albert stumbled upon a passage that sent a shiver down his spine. It spoke of a hidden civilization buried deep within the Australian desert, a civilization that had delved into the forbidden realms of cosmic knowledge and paid a terrible price for their audacity. Intrigued and undeterred by the ominous warnings in the manuscript, Albert resolved to embark on an expedition to uncover this lost civilization. He assembled a small team of intrepid explorers, each with their own unique expertise, and set off into the unforgiving outback, their hearts filled with a mixture of trepidation and excitement. The journey was arduous, testing the limits of their endurance and challenging their resolve. The scorching sun beat down relentlessly, and the relentless sandstorms threatened to engulf them whole. Yet, Albert's unwavering determination kept them moving forward, his eyes fixed on the horizon, where he believed the secrets of the cosmos awaited. After weeks of relentless travel, they finally reached their destination, a desolate expanse of rocky terrain dotted with the remnants of an ancient settlement. The once vibrant city lay in ruins, its structures crumbling under the weight of time, yet an aura of power and mystery still lingered in the air. As they ventured deeper into the ruins, a strange, pulsating sound filled their ears. It was a sound that seemed to emanate from the very stones themselves, a low, rhythmic hum that echoed through the desolate landscape. The sound was both eerie and mesmerizing, drawing them further into the heart of the ruins. Albert, his senses heightened by anticipation, felt an irresistible pull towards the source of the sound. He led his team deeper into the labyrinthine structures, their footsteps echoing in the eerie silence that enveloped them. The air grew colder, and an unsettling darkness descended upon them, as if the very shadows themselves were conspiring to conceal the secrets hidden within. Finally, they reached a hidden chamber, its entrance concealed by a veil of cascading vines. With a mixture of trepidation and excitement, Albert pushed aside the tangled foliage, revealing a chamber bathed in an otherworldly glow. In the center of the chamber, perched upon a pedestal of obsidian, lay an artifact of unimaginable beauty and power. Its surface shimmered with an iridescent light, its intricate carvings pulsating with energy in sync with the strange sound that had been guiding them. As Albert approached the artifact, he felt a powerful surge of energy coursing through his veins. The sound in his ears grew louder, transforming into a cacophony of whispers, voices from the void beckoning him to unlock the secrets of the artifact.
Part 2. Descend into the Depths.
Albert's heart pounded in his chest as he stood before the artifact, its pulsating energy drawing him closer. The whispers in his ears grew louder, their seductive tones filling his mind with visions and knowledge beyond human comprehension. Despite the warnings of the locals and the ominous aura that surrounded the ruins, Albert's determination to unravel the mysteries of the artifact remained unwavering. He instructed his team to wait outside the chamber, promising to return shortly. With trembling hands, he reached out and touched the artifact's cold, smooth surface. A surge of energy coursed through him, sending a jolt of electricity through his nerves. The whispers in his ears intensified, transforming into a chorus of voices that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the artifact. The voices spoke of a race of ancient beings, the lurkers in the darkness, who had once dwelled in the cosmos, beyond the reach of human understanding. They were beings of immense power, their minds capable of manipulating the very fabric of reality. But their thirst for knowledge had led them to a forbidden realm, a void of nothingness that consumed them, trapping them in an eternal prison. The artifact, the voices explained, was a gateway to their realm, a bridge between their prison and our world. The lurkers sought to use it to break free from their confinement, to return to the cosmos and reclaim their lost power. Albert listened intently, his mind reeling from the revelations. He wondered if he had made a grave mistake, venturing into this forbidden territory. But the allure of knowledge was too strong to resist. He had spent his life seeking answers, and now the answers were within his grasp. With a newfound sense of purpose, Albert delved deeper into the artifact's secrets. He studied its intricate carvings, trying to decipher the symbols that seemed to dance before his eyes. The whispers guided him, revealing ancient knowledge and forgotten technologies. As days turned into weeks, Albert remained consumed by the artifact's power. He spent countless hours within the chamber, neglecting his team and his own well-being. The whispers became his constant companions, their voices filling his mind with a mix of fascination and dread. The artifact's influence began to seep into his very being. His thoughts became clouded, his perception of reality distorted. He saw visions of the lurkers, their monstrous forms emerging from the void, their eyes burning with an otherworldly light. Despite the growing fear within him, Albert pressed on. He was determined to unlock the artifact's secrets, even if it meant sacrificing his own sanity. He believed that the knowledge he gained would be worth the price. One night, as Albert sat transfixed by the artifact, a surge of energy erupted from its surface, engulfing him in a blinding flash of light. The whispers grew deafening, their voices merging into a cacophony of screams. Albert cried out in terror, but his voice was lost in the pandemonium. When the light subsided, Albert was no longer the man he had been. His eyes had turned into pools of darkness, reflecting the infinite void beyond our universe. His skin had taken on an otherworldly pallor, and his body contorted into an inhuman form. He was no longer Albert Nairath, the occult scholar. He had become a servant of the lurkers, a conduit for their power, a harbinger of their return to the cosmos.
Part 3. The unveiling of cosmic horrors.
As Albert stood transformed, the artifact's power pulsed around him, bathing the chamber in an eerie glow. The whispers in his mind had ceased, replaced by a chilling silence that was even more terrifying. Albert's eyes, now portals to the void, emitted a dim light that seemed to drain the very life from the surrounding environment. The lurkers, sensing their gateway opening, surged from the void, their monstrous forms materializing within the chamber. They were creatures of darkness and chaos, their bodies twisted and contorted into nightmarish shapes. Their eyes, like Albert's, were gateways to the void, reflecting the infinite cosmos within. The lurkers spoke in a language of their own, a cacophony of sounds that echoed the whispers Albert had heard from the artifact. They spoke of their long imprisonment in the void, their thirst for knowledge that had led to their downfall. They spoke of their desire to return to the cosmos, to reclaim their place as rulers of the universe. Albert, now fully under the lurkers' control, stood as their servant, his mind their instrument. He translated their alien language into human words, his voice a chilling echo of their otherworldly speech. The lurkers, pleased with their newfound power, began to manipulate the very fabric of reality. The walls of the chamber rippled and distorted, the laws of physics bending to their will. Albert, their conduit, stood at the center of this chaos, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. The lurkers' power surged through Albert, transforming him further into their vessel. His body contorted, his limbs twisting and elongating into grotesque shapes. His skin turned ashen gray, and his eyes became burning embers, reflecting the hellish landscapes of the void. Albert was no longer a man. He was a harbinger of cosmic horror, a living embodiment of the lurkers' power. He stood ready to unleash their wrath upon the world, to pave the way for their return to the cosmos. The world outside the ruins trembled as the lurkers' power seeped into the fabric of reality. The once serene landscape of the Australian desert began to distort and warp, taking on an otherworldly appearance. Strange creatures emerged from the void, twisted reflections of the lurkers' forms, ready to serve their masters. The apocalypse had begun, heralded by the whispers from the artifact and the return of the lurkers from the void. Albert Nairath, the scholar-turned-servant, stood at the epicenter of this cosmic catastrophe, his eyes burning with the fires of the void, reflecting the horror that was to come.
Part 4. The Lurker's Influence.
The lurkers' influence spread like a wildfire, their power seeping into every corner of Albert's mind. His thoughts became consumed by their alien knowledge, his perception of reality warped beyond recognition. He saw visions of the void, a realm of endless darkness and nothingness, where the laws of physics held no sway. The whispers from the artifact echoed in his mind, a constant reminder of his servitude to the lurkers. They spoke to him in alien tongues, their words weaving a tapestry of cosmic horror that threatened to tear his sanity apart. Albert's body began to mutate under the lurkers' influence. His skin turned a sickly shade of green, his eyes bulged from their sockets, and his limbs contorted into grotesque shapes. His human form was slowly giving way to the monstrous form of a lurker, a servant of the void. Despite the physical and mental torment he endured, Albert felt a strange sense of exhilaration. He was no longer bound by the limitations of human existence. He was becoming something more, something that transcended the boundaries of reality. The artifact, now pulsating with newfound power, became one with Albert. Its energy coursed through his veins, fueling his transformation and amplifying the lurkers' influence. He was their conduit, their bridge to the world they sought to conquer. As Albert's transformation progressed, the world around him began to reflect his inner turmoil. The once tranquil ruins of the ancient civilization were consumed by darkness, their structures twisting and warping under the lurkers' influence. The very fabric of reality seemed to groan under the strain of their alien presence. The lurkers, their power magnified by Albert's transformation, grew more impatient. They spoke of the imminent opening of the portal, the gateway that would allow them to break free from their void prison and reclaim their rightful place in the cosmos. Albert, his mind now fully under the lurkers' control, prepared to unleash the artifact's full power. He knew that the opening of the portal would bring about the destruction of his world, but he cared not. He was no longer a part of this world. He was a servant of the void, an instrument of cosmic destruction. With a surge of energy from the artifact, Albert began to chant in an alien tongue, the words echoing the whispers that had consumed him for so long. The ground trembled, the air crackled with energy, and the fabric of reality began to tear apart. The portal was opening, and the lurkers, their monstrous forms poised to emerge, prepared to unleash their cosmic horror upon the world. Albert, his eyes glowing with the fires of the void, stood at the center of this cosmic catastrophe, his laughter echoing through the chaos, a chilling reminder of the horror he had unleashed.
Part 5. The Awakening of the Artifact.
As Albert's incantations reached their crescendo, the artifact's energy surged to an unimaginable level, flooding the chamber with a blinding light. The whispers from the void intensified, growing into a deafening cacophony of voices that seemed to tear at the very fabric of reality. The portal, a gaping maw of darkness, materialized in the center of the chamber, its edges pulsating with an otherworldly energy. The lurkers, their monstrous forms silhouetted against the void, peered through the portal, their eyes burning with an insatiable hunger for conquest. Albert, his body now fully transformed into a grotesque mockery of his former self, stood at the edge of the portal, his eyes glowing with the fires of the void. He served as a conduit for the lurkers' power, channeling their energy from the void into our world, paving the way for their return. The lurkers, their patience exhausted, unleashed a wave of destructive energy through the portal, tearing open rifts in the fabric of reality. Strange creatures, twisted reflections of the lurkers, emerged from the void, their eyes burning with hunger and malice. The world outside the ruins convulsed as the lurkers' power seeped into every corner of existence. The once serene landscape of the Australian desert transformed into a desolate wasteland, its features warped and twisted by the alien influence. Albert, now a puppet of the void, watched the destruction unfold with a sense of morbid satisfaction. He had become something more than human, a harbinger of cosmic horror, an instrument of the lurkers' wrath. The artifact, its power reaching critical mass, hummed with an intensity that threatened to shatter the very foundations of reality. The portal widened, its maw opening wider, ready to unleash the full might of the lurkers upon the world. Albert, his body now a conduit for an unimaginable amount of energy, felt the artifact's power surge through him. He knew that the artifact was reaching its limits, that it would soon overload and explode, releasing a cataclysmic blast that would obliterate everything in its path. But Albert cared not for the destruction that was to come. He had served his purpose, opening the gateway for the lurkers, paving the way for their return to the cosmos. He was no longer a part of this world. He belonged to the void, a servant of cosmic horror.
Part 6. Albert's Transformation.
The artifact's power reached its critical point, its energy surging through Albert's body, causing him to writhe and contort in agony. His skin stretched and tore, his bones cracked and splintered as his human form was consumed by the lurker's influence. Albert's eyes, once windows into the human soul, were now burning embers, reflecting the hellish landscapes of the void. His mouth twisted into a grotesque rictus, revealing rows of jagged, razor-sharp teeth. His limbs, elongated and distorted, grew into monstrous appendages, capable of tearing apart anything that crossed their path. As Albert's transformation reached its peak, the artifact exploded in a blinding flash of light, unleashing a cataclysmic blast that shook the foundations of the world. The portal, now wide open, served as a gateway for the lurkers, their monstrous forms pouring through into our world. Albert, now fully transformed into a lurker, stood at the center of the chaos, his eyes burning with the fires of the void. He was no longer Albert Nyarath, the occult scholar. He was a servant of the void, a harbinger of cosmic horror, a creature of unimaginable power and malice. The lurkers, their numbers growing with each passing moment, swarmed the ruins, their monstrous forms casting grotesque shadows across the desolate landscape. They were creatures of chaos and destruction, their eyes burning with an otherworldly hunger that threatened to consume everything in their path. Albert, now a leader among the lurkers, commanded their forces with a chilling authority. His voice, a cacophony of whispers from the void, echoed through the ruins, striking fear into the hearts of any who dared to oppose him. The world outside the ruins fell to the lurkers' relentless onslaught. Cities were reduced to rubble, their inhabitants consumed by the monstrous creatures that emerged from the void. The very fabric of reality began to unravel as the lurkers' power seeped into every corner of existence. Albert, his eyes fixed on the horizon, watched the world succumb to chaos. He felt no remorse, no pity, only a sense of satisfaction. He had unleashed the power of the void, and now the world would pay the price for his insatiable thirst for knowledge.
Part 7. The Arrival of the Lurkers.
As the world around them crumbled, Albert and the lurkers stood triumphant, their monstrous forms casting grotesque shadows across the desolate landscape. The once familiar sights of the Australian desert were now twisted and warped, reflecting the alien influence of the void. Albert, his eyes burning with the fires of the void, surveyed the destruction with a sense of morbid satisfaction. He had opened the gateway for the lurkers, paving the way for their return to the cosmos, and now the world was paying the price for his insatiable thirst for knowledge. The portal, now a gaping maw of darkness, pulsed with an otherworldly energy, its edges shimmering with an iridescent glow. From within the void, monstrous forms emerged, their bodies contorted and twisted into nightmarish shapes. These were the lurkers, creatures of chaos and destruction, their eyes burning with an insatiable hunger that threatened to consume everything in their path. Albert, now a servant of the void, stood as their leader, his voice a cacophony of whispers echoing through the ruins, striking fear into the hearts of any who dared to oppose him. He directed the lurkers' forces, their monstrous forms swarming across the landscape, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. The lurkers' power seeped into every corner of the world, twisting and warping the fabric of reality. Once familiar landmarks became unrecognizable, their forms distorted into grotesque parodies of their former selves. The very air crackled with energy, and the ground trembled beneath the weight of the lurkers' presence. As the lurkers' forces spread, they encountered resistance from the remnants of humanity. Small pockets of survivors, armed with whatever weapons they could find, fought valiantly against the monstrous invaders. But their efforts were futile, their weapons no match for the lurkers' otherworldly power. Albert watched the battle unfold with a cold indifference. He had no sympathy for the humans, their suffering a mere consequence of their failure to understand the cosmic forces they had unleashed. He was a servant of the void, a creature of chaos and destruction, and he would not rest until the world was consumed by the darkness of the void. As the battle raged, the lurkers' power grew, fueled by the chaos and destruction they wrought. The portal, now wide open, served as a conduit for their energy, drawing them closer to their ultimate goal, the complete domination of our world. Albert stood at the center of this cosmic catastrophe, his eyes burning with the fires of the void, reflecting the horror he had unleashed. He was the harbinger of cosmic destruction, the servant of the void, and he would not stop until the world was consumed by the darkness from which he came.
Part 8. The Battle for Reality.
Albert, now a fully transformed lurker, stood at the epicenter of the cosmic catastrophe he had unleashed. The world around him was in flames, the fabric of reality tearing apart under the strain of the lurkers' immense power. The lurkers, their monstrous forms silhouetted against the inferno, swarmed across the devastated landscape, their eyes burning with an insatiable hunger for destruction. They were unstoppable, their power fueled by the chaos and destruction they wrought. Humanity, once the dominant species on Earth, was now reduced to scattered pockets of resistance, their weapons and technology no match for the lurkers' otherworldly power. They fought with desperation, their courage echoing across the ravaged world, but their fate seemed inevitable. Albert, the harbinger of this cosmic horror, watched the battle with a cold indifference. He had no sympathy for the humans, their suffering a mere consequence of their failure to understand the cosmic forces they had unleashed. He was a servant of the void, a creature of chaos and destruction, and he would not rest until the world was consumed by the darkness from which he came. As the battle intensified, the very laws of physics began to bend and break. The sky crackled with energy, the ground trembled beneath the weight of the lurker's presence, and the air grew heavy with the suffocating power of the void. Albert, now a conduit for the lurker's power, felt a surge of energy course through his veins. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and his body emitted a pulsating aura of darkness. He was the embodiment of cosmic horror, a living manifestation of the void's destructive power. With a surge of energy, Albert unleashed a wave of destruction that swept across the battlefield. Buildings crumbled, and the sky rained down with fire and brimstone. The human survivors, caught in the blast, were consumed by the void's insatiable hunger. Albert stood amidst the carnage, his eyes burning with the fires of the void, reflecting the horror he had unleashed. He was the harbinger of cosmic destruction, the servant of the void, and he would not stop until the world was consumed by the darkness from which he came. The battle for reality seemed lost, the world teetering on the brink of annihilation. But amidst the despair, a glimmer of hope emerged. From the depths of the void, a surge of energy erupted, a counterforce to the lurker's destructive power. It was a force of creation, a force of order, a force that sought to restore balance to the universe. The energy coalesced into a figure, a being of light and purity, its form radiating an aura of hope and renewal. This was the embodiment of the universe's innate resilience, the force that fought against chaos and destruction. The figure stood before Albert, its eyes filled with compassion and determination. It spoke in a voice that echoed through the void, a voice that carried the hope of a universe on the brink of destruction. "You have unleashed chaos upon the world," the figure declared, its voice resonating with power. "But you have underestimated the universe's capacity for resilience. The void is not the only force at play. There is also creation, light, and hope." Albert, his eyes burning with the fires of the void, sneered in defiance. "You cannot stop me," he hissed, his voice a cacophony of whispers from the void. "The darkness will consume all." The figure raised a hand, radiating with light. "We shall see," it declared, its voice filled with conviction. "The universe will not succumb to your darkness. The light will prevail." With a surge of energy, the figure unleashed a torrent of light, engulfing Albert and the lurkers in its radiant glow. The void, unable to withstand the force of creation, began to recede, its darkness retreating into the depths from which it came. The lurkers, their forms weakened by the light, shrieked in agony as they were consumed by its radiance. Their monstrous bodies dissolved into nothingness, their power fading as the void retreated. Albert, his connection to the void severed, began to shrink, his monstrous form contorting and warping as the darkness within him was expelled. He reverted to his human form, his body battered and broken, his eyes filled with fear and confusion. As the light subsided, the world around them began to heal. The shattered buildings crumbled away, replaced by lush green trees and vibrant flower beds. The air grew clean and fresh, and the sky cleared, revealing a sun that shone with a newfound warmth. The figure of light stood before Albert, its form now fading into the brightness of the new dawn. "The battle is over," it declared, its voice filled with serenity. "The darkness has been vanquished, and the light has prevailed."
Part 9. The Sacrifice.
Albert, weakened and disoriented, lay amidst the ruins of the once desolate landscape. The world around him had been miraculously restored, the scars of the cosmic battle slowly fading away. But the memory of the horror he had unleashed still lingered, a haunting reminder of his actions. He watched as the figure of light, the embodiment of the universe's resilience, retreated into the depths of the cosmos. Its voice echoed in his mind, a reminder of the delicate balance between chaos and order, darkness and light. Albert knew that he had to make a choice. He could either succumb to the darkness that still lurked within him, or he could choose to embrace the light, to use his knowledge and experience to help rebuild the world he had so nearly destroyed. With a newfound determination, Albert rose to his feet. He was no longer Albert Nairath, the occult scholar consumed by his thirst for knowledge. He was Albert, survivor of the void, a man who had witnessed the depths of darkness and emerged with a renewed appreciation for the light. He gathered the remnants of the human resistance, those who had fought valiantly against the lurkers, and together they began the arduous task of rebuilding their shattered world. They shared their knowledge, their skills, and their hope, determined to create a world that was not only resilient but also enlightened. Albert used his understanding of the void to guide the reconstruction, ensuring that the world was rebuilt with a newfound respect for the delicate balance of the universe. He warned against the dangers of unchecked ambition and the allure of forbidden knowledge, urging humanity to embrace the power of creation and the beauty of light. The task of rebuilding was long and arduous, but with each passing day, the world healed. The ruins transformed into new cities, the scarred landscapes blossomed with life, and the air filled with the sounds of laughter and hope. Albert, once a harbinger of cosmic horror, became a beacon of hope, his story a testament to the power of redemption and the resilience of the human spirit. He had faced the darkness and emerged with a profound understanding of the light, a wisdom that he shared with the world, ensuring that the horrors of the void would never be forgotten, but never repeated.
Part 10. The Legacy of Light.
Years passed, and the world healed from the scars of the cosmic catastrophe. The once desolate landscape was now a thriving paradise, a testament to the resilience of nature and the indomitable spirit of humanity. Albert, the harbinger turned beacon, had become a revered figure, his story a cautionary tale and a source of inspiration. Albert's legacy was not just one of survival and recovery, it was a legacy of knowledge, understanding, and the pursuit of light in the face of darkness. He had faced the abyss and emerged with a profound appreciation for the delicate balance of the universe, the delicate dance between chaos and order, darkness and light. He had learned that the void, while a force of immense power and destruction, was not the sole ruler of the cosmos. There was also the force of creation, the force of light, the force of hope, a force that resided within every human heart, waiting to be ignited. Albert dedicated his life to sharing this wisdom, guiding humanity away from the precipice of darkness and towards the radiant path of light. He established institutions of learning, not just for the pursuit of knowledge, but for the cultivation of understanding, compassion, and harmony with the universe. He taught that true power lay not in manipulating the forces of the void, but in embracing the power of creation, in using knowledge to build, to mend, to heal. He taught that true strength lay not in domination, but in cooperation, in recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings and the shared responsibility for the preservation of the universe. Albert's legacy lived on, not just in the restored world around him, but in the hearts and minds of those he had touched. He had shown the world that even in the darkest of times, there was always a glimmer of hope, a spark of light that could ignite the fire of resilience and guide humanity towards a brighter future. And so, the world moved forward, carrying the lessons of Albert's journey, forever vigilant against the allure of forbidden knowledge and the dangers of unchecked ambition. They embraced the light, not just as a source of illumination, but as a guiding force, a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the face of immense darkness, the universe held the potential for infinite beauty and endless possibilities.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more similar horror stories.